If a woman gave you flowers, what would you think? I would like a plant but not cut flowers. Sure, flowers are nice to look at, but I prefer the plant better because there's a purpose to it. Ultimately, I'm going to appreciate anything though because it shows the other person is thinking about me. It'd think it was pretty random unless there was a reason for it. It'd probably appreciate most of the reasons for receiving flowers that I can think of off of the top of my head. I would think it's very nice and rare. I would enjoy having them and think about the sweet gesture every time I looked at them. But I would also silently think that money could have been better spent taking me out for a beer or buying me a nice belt. I would think that she doesn't really know me. 'Cause if she would, she'd knew I'm not into that. Other scenario, I might think that this is some sort of bullshit toxic as Chu Li Ni Tai test she peeked on some weird pop feministic influencer's page. Every planting season I buy my husband all of the flowers, all of the herbs to plant. I follow him around the nursery with the cart. While he put anything in there. We spend the actual planting day hanging out, drinking wine. I just act like his useless gopher, sit there while he does whatever it is he does to the garden. He actually talked about it today, how excited he is for it, so I think it's well received. Hess really into lavender this year lol. It always depends on the relationship to start. In a relationship. Hell yeah, not in a relationship but something of note, promotion. Birthday, I would love it but also read into it that it's I want a relationship signal. If I'm not in a relationship and no reason, I would either ask her out then and there or shut it down right away if we aren't a good match. Personally, I love flower arrangements and plants but rarely buy them. For myself. Ladies who have gone through a scary or life-threatening childbirth. How has it affected you long term? Can you compare it to anything else for others to better understand? I'm one and done from a tough delivery. I was delivery shamed by a guy I was seeing because I opened up about the experience because he thought I should have considered almost dying magical. I went in for a scheduled induction at 38 weeks after a very hard pregnancy with preeclampsia. After they gave me pitocin I started seeing double. My blood pressure skyrocketed dangerously high and I had to have an emergency C-section. It was so fast. I barely remember any of the time in the hospital except this overwhelming fear for my child's and my own life. Definitely one and done after that. I had anxiety before but it increased substantially after I had my daughter. It's like nothing I've ever experienced and I'm incredibly grateful to be alive. I was induced with my firstborn due to preeclampsia at 34 weeks. He was in the NICU for about a month after. It was awful. My blood pressure was through the roof and my kidneys were starting to fail. Not sure what I can really compare it to. I guess I'm crazy cause I went on to have 4 more pregnancies, all of which were healthy. I'm not over it. She is 4, I was so smug as my first birth was a 3 pushing out. She was brow. Midwife ignored me when I told her something wasn't right when I pushed. The pain was so much more extreme. Needed an emergency section. Hemorrhaged, nearly didn't make it, had flu whilst all this was going on and quarantined in hospital for 3 weeks over this, blood transfusions. The trauma of seeing my parents, husband's aftermath grief as they were told there was a real chance I wouldn't make it was so scary. No more. They get that weird feeling. Sehnsucht. That word would be melancholy. Dehydration can cause anxiety and feelings of homesickness. Yep. It's usually when I'm at home. I'll find myself wandering from room to room feeling unsettled. I've recently discovered that at least for me personally, I've started confusing feeling homesick and just plain feeling lonely as an adult sometimes. It doesn't seem to make that much sense. So for you it's probably something different. How do I politely hug a female friend? Let her decide it. If she goes for a hug, lean slightly forward, so that only your chests touch, and tap or shortly hold her back with one hand. Just hug her like you imagine normal people hug each other. Don't kiss or grope. Same way you hug your grandma. Don't grab her ass. She's never leaving the basement. Is she? Hug her like you hug a man friend. Right arm goes over her left shoulder and your left arm goes under her right arm and then pat her back a few times. If you do both arms over her shoulders then it is a boyfriend/girlfriend hug, and if you do both arms under her arms then it is a sex hug. Hard and naked. I usually just grab their shoulder/hug sideway. Give it a couple gentle clap/shake. I did this to everyone. How I usually hug my female friends is by gently wrapping my arms around their waist and slowly applying pressure until they're in a full-on bear hug and then lift them. Spine them around and attempt to launch them into the sun. I also don't get very many hugs. What lesson took you the longest to unlearn? Make a schedule and follow it. Sure. It works for some people and it can be very nice. I struggle with anxiety and depression, so making a schedule just stresses me out. The depressive part doesn't want to do stuff and then the anxious part keeps nagging on me, so it's not very healthy. With medicine and therapy I have gotten to a place where I just sometimes want to feel productive and I can motivate myself to do stuff. Don't feel bad when things don't work out for you. Just find something different that does. I need to learn from all my failed relationships and change myself to become a better partner. Nope. Not always. Some people just suck and the only things to learn are what to avoid. People can sometimes get really pious and expect you to be introspective about your personal failings in relationships that were clearly toxic. My only failure can absolutely be allowing myself to be in the relationship in the first place. Normalizing advocating for yourself. You don't need to exhaust yourself to seek help. It's okay to ask for help in the middle of things, and there shouldn't be shame. I also felt I had to stay strong no matter what, and honestly could care less of emotional/psychological support. I feel like asking for favors/help meant that I was burdening people. I've only learned to accept my struggles and be more communicative of my challenges recently. I'm still working on it. People pleasing is a bunch of BS. Whether it's at work or with your family or your spouse, do not try to please everyone for feeling better about yourself. You'll lose yourself in the process. Same goes for working extra hours without compensation. Fuck this toxic mentality. Your boss won't like you more. They'll treat you like a doormat and they'll add more to your plate.